I'm Jessica Strickland, Wayne County Extension Office, and today we want to talk about pruning trees. If you make pruning trees an annual activity, then you can keep your trees looking healthy and well. A lot of times people let them go for several years and then go back and try to prune them, and you end up pruning a lot of larger limbs and creating a lot of damage in the long run. So with these trees, we've been pruning these annually, so we're just coming back in late winter, early spring to do some pruning before the buds start to break on this tree. This is a weeping Japanese maple, and it does have the weeping form that we want to keep, but we want to do some pruning just to maintain the structure of it. When you're pruning trees or any type of plant, the first thing we recommend that you start with is pruning what we say is the 3 Ds, and that's the dead, dying, and diseased branches. And depending on the size of your branch, it's going to determine the tool that you'll need. For smaller branches that are about an inch or less in diameter, you want to use your hand pruners. For larger branches, you've got your loppers. And then if you have a large tree with even larger branches, you might be looking at some type of hand saw to cut those larger branches. So the first thing we've looked for is we're looking for the 3 Ds, looking for anything that's dead, damaged, or diseased. And we do have some damage here that I'm going to use the loppers for. We have where a branch might have broken last year and has left a pretty large open wound, and because of that, that's going to continue to die and damage the branch the rest of the way. So when you're making this cut to cut out this damage, you don't want to cut it here because you're going to leave a stub there. Instead, you want to go back and where it meets a branch, make that cut there. And you don't want to make it flush, but just a little bit beyond where that branch meets. Usually we call that a branch collar. And the branch collar is a little bit of a ridge where it meets up with another branch, and you can usually find that little bit of a ridge, and you want to cut just in front of it. It's found that that's where the tree heals the quickest, when it's cut just in front of that branch collar. So we'll go ahead and make this cut. And we've took that branch out, so we've got rid of the damage there. We've looked over the rest of the tree and don't see any type of damage or any broken branches. So your next step is to look for crossing branches. This situation is a little different because it is a weeping tree. You are going to have some crossing branches with a weeping tree. However, you do have some larger branches that are trying to cross. Right here is a branch that if you can watch that and it continues to grow, you can see where it's going to cross a couple of other larger branches in the future. So we want to go ahead and take that out while it's small. And make sure that's not going to cross over. And you can continue that through there. Check for branches that might be crossing, but again, with this one being weeping, you have to be a little careful not to prune too much because the branches are going to cross. The other thing you would look for is branches that are possibly getting too close to each other. You want to space your branches out some. And here you can see there's a couple of branches there, and then you have this branch. Probably I would choose to take this one out and leave this one, and then you've got the other. And then you've got the other here. You can continue that around the tree. And one thing whenever pruning, some people are very hesitant to make a cut. They're scared that they're going to damage the tree. As long as you're going back to a branch, and you're not leaving parts of the branch sticking out that eventually will rot, that'll be okay. But also, you want to be careful not to prune too much. So every so often, do stop and step back and take a look and see how your tree looks from a distance. Sometimes when you get in the middle of pruning, you get distracted or get involved with the pruning part, and you forget to step back. So do remember to step back and see how the tree looks. Look at it from different angles, and sometimes you'll see a branch that sticks out. With this one, we don't have any sprouts at the bottom. But if you had some sprouts that were trying to pop up at the base, you'd also want to cut those out too. But that's just a real quick overview of how you would prune a tree just to clean it up for just an annual pruning. And for more gardening information, you can contact the Wayne County Extension Office at 919-731-1520.